On our way to see my Uncle Marcus in Tübingen, we stopped by Rothenburg Ob Der Tauber, home of baseball donuts, a history of death, and dung insulation! The town's name translates to Red Fortress above the Tauber River. I'm not sure if the location had red added to its name the whole time, or after Johann Serkles of the sack of Magdeburg infamy gutted the city during the 30 Years' War, or maybe when the city was decimated again by one of the many waves of Black Plague. What is certain is that the town stopped growing in the 17th century and never modernized beyond that point. A horrifying past of misfortune and death brings us this charming medieval city. I run into these white and black buildings all over Germany. They are referred to as half-timbered houses. The white space was originally an insulating mixture of mud, manure, and straw. I discovered that the German word for the city council building is Rathaus. A building full of politicians is called a Rathaus. Just let that sink in. On the way from Rothenburg to Tübingen, I get to drive on the Autobahn. I drive 112 miles per hour. It actually doesn't feel that fast though, because the cars and roads are designed to go this fast normally. When we arrive, we meet up with Marcus, my stepmother's brother, and he leads us back to his apartment that has this incredible view. A brief note on Marcus. He embraces German customs the strongest of anyone I know. He's a successful professor at one of Germany's oldest universities. He was the head of a 500-year-old fencing fraternity. He loves hiking in nature. And new on this trip, I meet his four-legged friend, a wire-haired dachshund named Felix. For anyone keeping score, Marcus is very, very German. In that spirit, he serves us beer. The first is a brown beer brewed in the nearby Eingen Mountains, following the rules of the 1516 Reinheitsgebot, or the German beer purity law. It's a law that limits beer ingredients to water, barley, and hops. This was to control price competition between bakers and brewers so that people could have affordable bread. It also had the side benefit of keeping poisonous ingredients out of beer. You might have noticed that yeast isn't mentioned, and that's because Louis Pasteur hadn't discovered it yet. All that said, I'm completely dumbstruck when the next beer he hands me is an Urquell. He wouldn't have touched Czech beer in 2003, but he's changed his mind, arguing that bigger breweries buying up the smaller ones has led to a homogenized beer style all across Germany. My world continues to feel like it's on a tilt as I walk to dinner. The buildings in the tight and winding streets have a strange reverse stair-step design. This is due to a tax loophole in the past where property owners were taxed based off the square footage of the ground floor, and so to get around that they would build the top floors further out so they would get more space. Marcus leads us to a tiny pub that feels like a kitchen in a fairy tale. I eat schnitzel and incredibly good bread. Then Marcus orders snails. You might think that's a French thing, but he tells me that since we're incredibly close to the border, it's probably a shared delicacy. I think these charming apartments are student housing. When I was a resident assistant in Denver, I had to fend off a meth head wielding a screwdriver. Sorry, I just felt like I had to point out that contrast.